Just a pleasure to be here with Julie Driver today from Closet of Hope, a ministry of Together Church in Wyoming, and one of our recipients of the Shoes and Boot Drive we're doing here at WCSG. What a pleasure to have you with us today, Julie.
Well, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about your ministry. Tell us about who you serve and how Closet of Hope came to be.
Well, the Closet of Hope serves foster and adoptive families in the area. And we came to be 8 years ago when I became a foster parent somewhat unexpectedly. And
Sure.
I realized just how expensive it was to become a foster parent. Day one was a couple $100s at Meijer to just get some basic needs for our child that came into our home. And God just laid a really heavy burden on my heart of how do we help foster families? You know, how do we make this financial burden a little bit easier? And out of that idea was born the Closet of Hope, and we support families with clothing. That's our biggest thing.
Sure.
We, from the preemie babies to the teens that come into care and the adult-sized clothing that they wear. And then we also do baby equipment. We do meals, diapers, brand new socks and underwear when a kid comes into care. So everything that someone might need, and of course, toys. And one of our greatest needs, honestly, are new shoes and boots, because shoes are hard to come by when they're gently used, and most of our items are gently used.
Now, I got to imagine, it sounds like for you, maybe becoming a foster parent was kind of a thing that happened pretty quickly. Is that the case in many of these situations, that kids are maybe in trouble? They don't necessarily know that they're going to be going into another home. Maybe they don't have time to pack their clothing. Maybe they don't have a lot of clothing. Is that kind of the case in many of these situations?
It is, Tom, it definitely is. So when a child comes into care, as a foster parent, we might have a couple hours notice, or we truly might have about 30, 40 minutes before we know that a child is
Wow.
coming into care. And it really depends on the child's situation. Sometimes they're able to pack clothing, and other times, for certain reasons, nothing comes with them. So the most that a child really comes into care with might be a garbage bag that they were able to quickly pack. But if you're a kid and you are told, here's a garbage bag, pack up what you can, you're leaving your home, your stuffed animals and not your clothing is always what they think of.
Right.
So this ministry was designed to help support foster parents and the kids so they could have really nice, gently used clothing.
That's amazing. Now, you talk about shoes, you talk about boots. You say that's a big need, especially going back into school. Kids need gym shoes for school. They need boots for winter. This is a pretty big need for you guys.
It is. It's a huge need because most of what we get is gently used clothing, and clothing can easily be passed down and around, but shoes are a different story. And gym shoes are something kids need. New shoes when it comes to gym shoes and boots. Kids are hard on things, and so definitely new shoes and boots, and it makes a child feel great when they get to put on a new pair of shoes, and not all kids get new shoes all the time.
Absolutely. And we're just so pleased to be a part of this, to partner with you during our Shoes and Boots drive. Do you have a story of maybe a family that you've seen helped through your ministry that really sticks out in your mind?
One of the stories that sticks out is very early on, I met a single woman who was a foster mom to 2 teenage boys. And I remember thinking, I had just taken in a teenage girl, and teenagers felt like a lot. I had 3 other little kids at home. And
Sure.
over the years, I watched this foster mom, because we were able to provide clothing for the family. She, a couple years later, came back and said, because of you guys, I can take in sometimes 3 and 4 teenage kids because you're able to help me clothe them. You help give me some meals to support us. So she was able to do more for foster kids because we are able to support her with clothing, which is really expensive.
And really closing that gap for a lot of families because it's expensive. Clothes are not cheap. Boots are not cheap. And,
Right.
and when you're taking in these foster kids, especially maybe in a situation where this is just happening so quickly, you don't necessarily have those funds waiting for you to pay for these goods.
Right, exactly. And a lot of what happens too is when children are coming into care, it's not one child that's coming into care. It's family groups that are coming into care. And it's a family might be taking in 3, 4, 5 siblings all at once. So it's an expensive adventure to become a foster parent. So this is just something that helps close that gap and support foster families. And the other thing we find is when kids come into care, they are just receiving a different level of nutrition sometimes.
Sure.
And so they're growing quickly.
Yes.
And so
especially teenagers.
Yes, especially teenagers. And so we're able to support the families as the kids grow. And it's not just right when they come into care, but as these kids grow, we're able to support them with new clothes.
Is there something you'd like to say to maybe a listener who's donated already or who's thinking about donating for this Shoes and Boots drive?
I just want to say thank you. It means so much to be able to provide new shoes, new boots to kids. It's one of our greatest needs because it is a new item. It's easy to donate something that's gently used that you've already invested in, but a new pair of shoes, a new pair of boots goes a really long way to telling a child that we value them.
Absolutely, that they're loved.
Yes.
And they are.
Exactly.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. Julie Driver from Closet of Hope, a ministry of Together Church in Wyoming. How can we reach you? Is there a web page, maybe a Facebook page that we can look to find out more about your ministry?
Yes, absolutely. We do have a web page. You can go to tiny.cc/Closet of Hope. Mm-hmm. You can also reach us on our Facebook page, Closet of Hope Wyoming, or by calling us at 616-613-6770.
Julie Driver from Closet of Hope, what a pleasure to be partnering with you, and thank you so much for coming in today.
Thanks, Tom.